Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Man, my auntie passed last night. This is a sad life. I'm trying to get my cash.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy B-Dell. I am back with some groundbreaking information. If you're new to this channel, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. But today we're going to be talking about a convoluted utopian subterranean kingdom inside the planet and how it corresponds to the safe zones to escape calamity in the midst of a pole shift. So when you understand the principles of Freemasonic Gnosticism, the semantic symbology of sigilcism is an emulation of what's taking place on the planet from a theological perception and from a planetary standpoint. Because planet Earth is basically like a giant atom with the nucleus of a subatomic particle, which is the personification of the 600-mile diameter sun inside the planet, which is basically the electromagnetic hypersonic battery that gives vitality to the planet from the cymatic frequencies from fractions of light, which creates the dualistic polarity of the third dimension, which is the foundation of dark and light, positive and negative, God and the devil, Enki versus Enlil, which equates to the symbology of the sun and the moon, because the moon is basically the personification of patriarchy that's galvanized by materialism. And then you got the sun, which is the personification of a matriarchy that's galvanized by nature. And then you got the black sun inside the planet, which is basically the foundation of balance, right? So I'm going to show you the sigilcism that basically correlates to everything that I just said. Because when you understand the semantics that's being played behind their signs and their symbols, right? Hold on for a second. When you look at their signs and their symbols, it tells you a story about what took place during the inception of the planet. When you're talking about the first 6,000 years before when you're talking about the inception point of the 24,000 year equinox, right? So you got Sol, which is the sun, then you got Luna, then you got Sol Negro. That's the black sun inside the planet, which also correlates to the mythology of the Thol Society, because they had a veneration of the black sun, because they knew that the mythologies of all these ancient teachings, that there's a subterranean kingdom and civilizations inside the planet. Now, when you understand that intuitively, the G in the middle of the square and the compass of the Masonic symbol, the G is also a representation of Gnosticism, and is also a veneration of their god, who is Enlil, because he is the supreme architect of this three-dimensional paradigm, which is controlled by materialism, right? So that's why they show a veneration of the jealous god that's connected to all forms of monotheistic religions. When you're talking about Catholicism, Christianity, Judaism, all these monotheistic belief systems is conducive to the energy of the lunar cycle, right? So that coincides with the fact that the square in the compass is the personification of the Hiram key, which puts you under the Hiram Abiff, because the Hiram key is the skeleton key, and the skeleton key is the key to the universe, right? And when you're talking about the key to the universe, we're basically talking about what Nicholas Tesla said. Because when you look at the square and the compass, it's also connected to all these ley lines and all these dragon ley lines that's on the planet, because they're basically interdimensional gateways to where you can go inside the planet when you're talking about these subterranean kingdoms, right? So like I said, when you understand the mythology of what happened, it tells a story. Because when you look at the bottom of this picture right here, it says Baal, who was Moloch. That is the son of Enlil. So they show a veneration to everything they do on the planet in the form of a sacrifice to maintain divinity in the three-dimensional paradigm. That's why you see the G in the middle is also a representation of gnosis, and is a representation of sacred geometry, and it's also a representation of their god, who is Enlil, right? Because Enlil slain Tiamat. Tiamat is another word for planet Earth, because when you understand the inception point of how the planet was destroyed, that's because Enlil, he sent plutonium bombs to the planet and broke the planet off in half. That's when Nibiru sent the light ball of energy inside the planet, which created the black sun, right? So all this stuff is interconnected. Now, when you look at this, these are the dragon ley lines all over the planet. Notice I said dragon. Dragon is conducive to Draco. Draco is equated to draconian, because when you look at really closely, they got these home bases. These home bases are basically concentric interstellar vortex portals that can take you to hollow Earth. When you look at the top right here, where my arrow is, right here, where the home point is, this is Alaska. Now I'm going to show you something. These interstellar vortex portals are being shown all over the planet in Alaska, because these interdimensional gateways are opening up, because they know that calamity is about to take place on the planet. That's why everything you see, all these anomalies and stuff in our atmosphere, right? These are the signs from the gods to tell you to, go inside these inner caverns, or, galvanize your resources in order to escape calamity, because a lot of things is going to be taking place, because the planet is going through a metamorphic shift, because it's the end of a cycle, right? So now, when you look all over the planet, all over the United States map, you have public attraction portals. These are gateways, and you notice all these are basically in a triangular shape, which is a representation of a trilateral cosmic energy that's opening up, because I told you, you got these portals that open up on the planet in 10-year increments from 1943, 53, 63, 73, all the way up into 2023. So that's why they have these dragon ley lines on the planet, to basically subjugate that energy to where the great majority of people who are trying to escape calamity cannot go into the hollow Earth, because they know that the intergalactic gateways is merging in with the three-dimensional world, which is basically your whole concept of a fifth dimensional shift that's taking place. Right? So right now, this is why you have these safe zones. And now I need you to understand something. There's a diametrical difference between fear mongering and, putting people up on game. You know what I'm saying? The information in itself in the message is for you to, to get the edification and to be proactive with the information. I'm not doing no type of fear mongering. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. But it's up to you to have the fortitude to do, galvanize your resources and be proactive, and and relocate, because when it's in a publication where it says that they're only going to give you about 30 days to evacuate. You're only going to get about 30 days to evacuate. That's why I'm telling people, you got to move off these coastlines. You got to move off these coastlines, because all this stuff is going to be flooded. You got all this stuff that's taking place in Fort Lauderdale in Florida. It tells you right here, this is from a CIA document. It says the East Coast is not safe. New Madrid will go off, and the Eastern Fault Network will become active to shake the entire Appalachian mountain range, which will cause a nuclear plant meltdown. So you got to get off the East Coast. Like I said, I try to tell people all the time, I understand you want to live your best life. You want to stay in these big cities and stuff like that, because that's another thing. A lot of you think all this stuff is a conspiracy. All this stuff is taking place. It's either, relocate or pay for it, in the future. And then it says the central U.S. is a safe zone where I'm at. I'm in Indiana. And it says that the survival groups or Ozarks and things of that nature. So anything in the green is basically a safe zone. You got some parts in the red over here in the Midwest. Those are safe zones as well. But anything on the coastlines is going to be underwater. Anything on the West Coast is going to be underwater, right? Which is why they're trying to make Denver, Colorado, they're trying to make that the new capital, because they know that the great majority of these places is going to be underwater in the future, right? So it says right here, when the Yellowstone volcano erupts and explodes, you're going to have a pyroclastic cloud, which will basically crystallize your lungs and kill you. So like I said, the great majority of the population over in California, I understand y'all want to be in Hollywood and y'all want to live your best life, but it's time to, you know what I'm saying, get into reality. You know what I'm saying? This is a reality. This is, you know, many different things are about to take place on this planet. You know what I'm saying? Because I told you the planet is going through a shift. And when you're going through a shift, that means that, you know, calamity must take place. So this is not a coincidence. It says that Walmart just announced that they will close 4 of their stores. Now, it says due to stealing, but like I said, that's a defense mechanism to hide the fact that there's, you know, a lot of stuff that's going to be taking place, because they know that these safe zones is conducive to Walmart, because Walmart is connected to the military industrial complex when you're talking about FEMA and the DUMBs, which is the deep underground military bases, right? So when they say stuff like you're talking about stealing, yeah, people steal all the time. But, you know, at the end of the day, we all know that the great majority of these Walmarts is used for underground bunker systems. Now, one thing we need to get to, we're going to get into the scientific level of it, because you have to understand that everything in nature works on a torque field, and the torque field is an orc field that's connected to nature, right? Meaning that energy expands and basically returns to itself. So that means that nothing in nature is flat or dense. So you see it all around us on the planet. You see it in the fruits, right? You see it in the universe. You see it in the atoms, and you see it in the vortexes all around the planet. That tells you right there from a scientific level that everything in nature is not flat. Everything in nature has a torque field, and it basically revitalizes and expands to itself. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that it's like a concept of a return of energy, right? You can't destroy energy. So everything on the planet that's connected to nature is not flat, it's hollow. So that tells you right there from a rational and pragmatic standpoint that everything in nature that's connected to the planet is not flat. You know what I'm saying? That don't even make sense. That's for all you flat earthers out there. Now, we're going to get into, no, it's the wrong video. Now, we're going to get into a couple videos to support my claim about everything that's taking place.
World. Till this very day, another great secret remains. The pyramids were used as natural doors of dimension gates, as openings and doors.
Now, this is what, remember, in one of my videos, I told you that when you get a Freemasonic Bible, and you go to the book of Daniel and you get it and you translate it in ancient Hebrew and you read it backwards, it tells you that the pyramids all around the planet were interdimensional gateways to Hollow Earth, right? Because like I said, when you understand these theological teachings, they're basically, it's like a codex, right? It's a metaphysical codex, because they know that the religion in itself is a multi-layered book under Freemasonic esoteric information that they try to hide through the religious systems. But the preachers and the papals and these priests or whatever, they give it to you on a surface level basis to where you don't understand everything that's taking place on the planet intuitively. I'm gonna keep going.
The inner earth. As much as there is an outer world, there is, because of polarity, an inner world. In other words, the earth is hollow. As things are on a small scale, so they are on a large scale. Hermes Trismegistus taught that everything in the universe is set up according to the same organizational plan. One could say that the earth is like a huge atom, hollow inside, with a nucleus at the center which represents the inner sun.
Exactly what I just said.
Just as we humans do not see the outer curve of the globe, one is not able to perceive the inner curve when entering Hyperea, the legendary lost crystal cities of Agartha.
So notice that you see these Freemasons, they traveling in these interdimensional caverns that take you to Hollow Earth. That's where all the initiates, they get their they have the knowledge about everything that's going on the planet. I'm gonna keep going, but this is in Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. That's where I'm at right now. That's not where I'm at, but I'm like an hour and 30 minutes away from Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. It's one of the deepest cavern systems in the United States. And if you travel for 15 days in Mammoth Cave, you can get to Hollow Earth. That's what they say. That's part of the mythology.
Initiated were able to get in touch with the civilizations of the inner Earth through gates. Until the sinking of Atlantis, this was general knowledge.
Plato in his book, the Timaeus.
So I gotta tell you all the time, people look into the sky when really redemption's at the bottom of your feet. All these extraterrestrial UFOs and spaceships and stuff, they're not coming from outer space. They come from inside the planet, right? So now we're gonna get into. Now, this coincides with the Thule Society, right? Because the Thule Society, they were also connected to the Nazi regime, right? Which was started by, Madame Blavatsky, because they understood the whole concept and the veneration of the Black Sun, right? So it says Madame Blavatsky and her Theosophical Society, who had drawn ideas about Shambhala and other Hollow Earth theories in their teachings. Because like I said, they also understood that the land of Agartha was the land of advanced races, right? Meaning that there were extraterrestrials inside the planet. And they said they identified the capital of the city is called Shambhala, which when you break down the etymology of it, it means the scent of Allah, right? Who is your the supreme ruler inside the planet, who is actually King Khufu. Now, you also have when you read right here, it says what lies at the end of these tunnels was when you're talking about superhuman deities with green and blue skin to extraterrestrial intelligences, right? That's because they knew that, the great majority of these people who these extraterrestrials, they actually have blue and green skin and are actually highly melanated. And I'm going to prove it to you because there's a mythology that coincides with everything that I'm talking about. Because when you go to this video right here, it tells you about there were green, these two green children, they came out of a cavern system, and they basically had these mythological powers to where anything that they touched, it basically grew intrinsically in a form of nature because their skin was green. So they was connected to nature, from a genetical level. I'm gonna play the video.
Protective womb of the earth. Protective womb of the earth. In the 12th century, an unusual story of underworld beings showed up in Suffolk, England, and is still a part of the town's history today. The children of Woolpit.
See, they talking about the children of Woolpit, right? These are the two green children that came from these inner earth caverns. Because like I said, there are people inside these ancient civilizations. And like I said, before you understood how everything took place, when you're talking about, because we was living in the age of iron. So we in the age of Aquarius, where we're going into a golden age. So that means that when you breathe in oxygen, oxidation breaks down the hemoglobin cellular structure to where you start to age because you have iron-based blood. So this is why the melanin that we have right now makes us have brown skin because of the oxidation. But before, in the first sun cycle, in the first golden age, we had green skin, we had blue skin. Some of us had, dark red skin. This is all connected to the whole mythology when you're talking about superheroes and stuff like that. When the Hulk, when he was able to, transmute itself because of the gamma radiation. That's where all the mythologies come from, because they knew that our genetical structure had a connection to the planet. But since, Satan separated the intergalactic waters from the third dimension, now you have an atmosphere. When you breathe in oxygen, you start to age because of the iron-based blood. So that's why you don't have the green skin and things of that nature. Because that's why a lot of babies now, some of them, when they come out their mama's womb, they have a Mongolian spot. That Mongolian spot means that they have a chlorophyll connection in their genetical sequence. I'm going to keep going.
Suffolk, England, and is still a part of the town's history today. The children of Woolpit. Reapers in the area one day discovered two small children who had skin with a pale green hue and who spoke an unknown language. And though starving, ate only raw beans.
I'm gonna replay it because I don't know if y'all can hear it, but if you can't hear it, turn it up, because like I said, this is a mythology that's hidden from humanity. A lot of people don't know about these stories. You're talking about those two green children.
Area one day discovered two small children who had skin with a pale green hue and who spoke an unknown language. And though starving, ate only raw beans. The boy soon died, but after many years in declamation, the surviving girl finally explained that she and her brother had come from a subterranean land where the sun never shone, and where the light was more like twilight, saying they'd become lost when they followed their cattle into a cave, eventually emerging onto the bright landscape. In the 1908 book.
So like I said, yeah, this is, these are the ancient teachings and everything that they hide from you, because it's in one of my books, this story is, but I had to bring it, I had to find a video for it. It took me a lot of time to find that video, by the way. So like I said, you have beings inside the planet, right? Because like I said, these underground cavern systems are basically safe zones. Where I'm at right here at the top, I'm like an hour and 30 minutes from Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. So you got cavern systems in four corners of the earth, right? You got some in Brazil. You got some in you got Mount Shasta. You got some at where the pyramids of Giza is at, right? You got, all these underground cavern systems can take you to Hollow Earth, where you got the city of Shambhala. Then you got the Rainbow City. You got the Crystal City. All this stuff is inside the planet. These are highly technological civilizations, that gave the edification to the people on the surface of the planet, right? Because intelligent life lives inside the planet, not on the surface. And who's inside these underground tunnel systems in these cities? You're talking about your so-called, the Anunnaki, or what you call Riskians, or the Elohim, or the Nephilim, right? It says one of the oldest and most advanced races in the universe, gold is greatly valued in their society, right? That's why, you see the great majority of the people in the South, they wear their open-faced golds, because a lot of those people, and especially like the Mississippians are have a connection to the Olmecs, right? Those are some of the oldest people on the planet. That's why you see people in the South, they wear them grills and everything. You know what I'm saying? Because it contained the octave energy to it, right? To where you can speak certain things into existence, but that's a different story. But like I said, you got, they have the ability to create new races, right? When you're talking about many different other species on the planet who have recessive genetical traits. So like I said, these are the advanced races that live inside the planet, right? They're highly melanated, right? You got some that are black, then you got some that are green. You got some that are blue, right? So now, all right. I'm missing something. But we're going to get it to another video until I find it.
Secret of the inner earth. Like the human being, the planet itself also has dimensions, These 7 bodies are 7 main energy gates, also called chakras or sun gates. They are the activation gates. The masters of Lemuria and Atlantis knew about the main geomantic energy vortices. With the help of extraterrestrial technology and levitation, they built large pyramids onto these centers of energy. Therefore, pyramids around the world stand on these gates of energy in order to mark the power centers.
Now I need you to understand something. You know, you see the flat tops at the bottom, at the top of these pyramids. These pyramids were basically landing pads for UFOs that come from these underground cavern systems from Hollow Earth. So they used to land on top of the pyramids because the pyramid in itself was it contained a source of orgone energy to where it gave activation to the UFOs. So these UFOs were basically parking on top of these pyramids because these pyramids were like the energy points of gas stations, and it basically gave power to these UFOs. That's what I'm basically saying.
Therefore, pyramids around the world stand on these gates of energy in order to mark the power centers. They are situated in the jungles of the Amazon, in the highlands of Mexico, on the ocean floors of the Atlantic and the Pacific, under the desert of Taklamakan, in China, and many other places on Earth. Many of these pyramids were built underground and will be discovered in the near future.
Remember I did that video?
Hold on. Many of these pyramids were built underground and will be discovered in the near future.
Remember I did a video on the Bermuda Triangle when I was talking about the Draconian bases, because I told you these areas on the planet are basically energy centers, and they have a trilateral connection, meaning that it works on the energy points of the 3, 6, and the 9, because 3, 6, and 9 are not physical numbers. They're quantum numbers that govern the physical world, right? Those are the keys of the universe, the Hiram key, what I was talking about in the beginning of the video.
Pyramids are the mirror of human evolution with the 4 dimensions. God is the 5th dimension and exists beyond the pyramid. This is why a last stone of each 4-faced pyramid is missing. Hence, the stone of completion is the unification of man with the Creator in the 5th dimension. That is the reason why human beings have 5 fingers. They are created for the 5th dimension.
The reality.
So like I said, and that's another thing. If you see a grade with 4 fingers, that is a grade that was genetically spliced by the Draconians. Anything that's malevolent on the planet has 5 fingers. I need you to understand that in case you come across one of these beings one day, you know. Now, where's it at? Yeah, here we go.
Subterranean races. Clearly, some of these are considered to be purgatory for sinners, attempts to deter people from wrongdoing. But other legends, those about Agartha, with its cities Shambhala and Potala, have striking resemblances, no matter which continent they originate from. In all legends, these civilizations tell of 2 beings, very tall giants or very advanced reptilian races. The word Agartha is of Buddhist origin. True Buddhists fervently believe in this subterranean empire, which they say has millions of inhabitants and many cities, including the capital, Shambhala, where a supreme ruler dwells. They believe the Dalai Lama is his terrestrial representative, and his messages are transmitted to the lamas in Tibet. They believe that they've been there for thousands of years, sheltering humanity since the terrestrial cataclysms. The Russian artist, philosopher, and explorer Nicholas Roerich published that a Tibetan Lama revealed the capital of Tibet was connected by a tunnel with Shambhala, the heart of the subterranean empire of Agartha, and that the entrance of this tunnel was guarded by lamas who were sworn to keep its actual whereabouts a secret from outsiders. Those who are led through this underground passage travel deep into Earth through areas where it becomes so narrow it can be difficult to pass through. According to Tibetans, Shambhala is a physical place, but one that also has an ethereal nature, given its location inside this holistic, evolving planet. Given our understanding of how matter can be warped in space and time by mass, this could make sense. One Gnostic scholar explains the underworld as a plane between spirit and our reality, an area where the ethers of spirit become nature, and nature.
So, what that said, when you're talking about the lamas, right? The Dalai, you got to understand something. These are the progenitors of the Dalai Lamas, or the Oriental people. These are the Khoisan people. The Khoisan people, when they mixed in with the Dravidians, that's when you got your so-called Mongoloids, who basically who are basically taking over the whole the concept of the Dalai Lamas and the where the Tibetan, where they at in Tibet, in the Himalayan mountains and things of that nature. So the Khoisan people, they gave their edification to all these people up in the upper regions, because these are some of the oldest people on the planet. They were some of the first people on the planet, and they had contact with extraterrestrials, right? They had contact with interdimensional beings. So that's why Patala, this is the Patala Palace, because if you notice, Patala sounds like Shambhala. Shambhala is a city inside the planet, because this is why they turn certain places like this into a historical landmark, because the Palace of Patala, which is controlled by Dalai Lamas, they basically keep humanity from going inside these cave systems to where they can go inside Hollow Earth. So that's why everything they do, they turn it into a historical landmark. They turn Mammoth Cave, Kentucky into a historical landmark. This is a historical landmark. They just built this palace on top of a cave system that takes you to Hollow Earth. But they got their edification from the Khoisan people, because these are the true inception points of the Oriental people all throughout Asia and Japan or whatever. These are the progenitors right here, right? So this is why, I'm saying, all this stuff that's connected to their mythology, this says, they got these, the Vimanas, which is the chariots of the gods. And they knew that these chariots landed on top of these monolithic structures, right? You got, like I said, these are, it's connected to the mythology, but they learned it from the Khoisan people, right? Because those are the first so-called Oriental people. Now, let me see. But speaking, since we on the extraterrestrial part, this is a guy, he's basically telling you about how these beings that are inside the planet are actually all melanated. Like I said, you got some that are green, you got some that are blue, you got some that are many different colors, but the great majority of them are, they look just like me. But they probably have, more advanced features, bigger eyes and longer limbs and things of that nature, taller. I'll play it.
There are other groups like this Nordic group. There is an African-looking group. There is a Polynesian-looking group. I think we're going to find very few of these extraterrestrials are Caucasian or blonde hair, blue-eyed, like a lot of people depict. Many, many, many of our cosmic cousins from the local 52 star cluster are people of color. And when we get to a point to our cosmic cousins actually visiting and integrating with us, we are going to be forced to deal with some of our petty racist programs.
So that's why it's imperative to understand what's going on, what's taking place. That's why you're having so much calamity on the planet, because the shift is conducive to everything. It's conducive to the fact that the inner world is merging with the outer world. That's what's taking place right now. Kind of like in the movie Mario. You got the old Mario, then you got the animated version of Mario. So you got the three-dimensional paradigm merging in with a inner earth fifth dimensional civilization. That's why you got all these this stuff that's taking place when you're talking about Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
This is the aftermath of an extreme rainfall event in downtown Fort Lauderdale. This is drone footage over Broward Boulevard from Andrews Avenue almost to US 1. That's the federal courthouse there on the left, wall-to-wall water covering the roadway. Can you count the number of cars that are simply stuck, stranded, not able to go anywhere? They've got to wait for tow trucks, and many of those cars are possibly total losses. 20 or so inches of rain fell, the bulk of which fell in a period of about 6 or 7 hours, and this is the end result.
So, like I said, man, I understand y'all want to live in Florida and y'all want to live y'all best life, but you're not living in reality. The great majority of all these places is going to be underwater in the future. I'm just saying, because I showed you the map of the safe zone, right? This is why you got to understand something. Because everything that's taking place as far as like the calamity and stuff, that tells you that the mantle transition zone is connected to the seismic activity on the planet, meaning that you have many different cavern systems inside the planet, meaning that the planet in itself, Hollow Earth, has its own ecosystem. And anything that has its own ecosystem has its own ecological process, right? When you're talking about different species or whatever. So this is why you're having all this calamity, all this seismic activity lets you know that the Earth is hollow. The planet is not flat. I don't know why people keep saying that, but we're going to keep going. I'm going to show you this video.
These images were recorded by a research vessel of Washington University's study team. While water seeping from the seabed is not so unusual, however, the chemical composition and the location of the seepage makes this curious. This leak was found at least 80 kilometers off the Oregon coast in the Cascadia subduction zone. It is located at the boundary of a tectonic plate. Basically, tectonic plates divide the Earth's crust into distinct plates, and they are constantly moving at a very slow pace. Earthquakes are concentrated along the edges of these plates. Scientists fear that once the water stops flowing out, it can lead to a buildup of stress, leading to a devastating earthquake. The fault could unleash a magnitude 9 earthquake in the Pacific Northwest. An earthquake that big can completely destroy cities along the northwestern U.S. Bureau Report, Leon.
Like I said, this is not fear-mongering. You know what I'm saying? There's a diametrical difference between fear-mongering and a reality check. A lot of y'all need a reality check. You know what I'm saying? I showed you the map. Let me see if I can find it still. I showed you the map of the safe zones. Let me see. You know, there's safe zones on this planet. You got to move to, you know, like I said, you got Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. There's cave systems all over the United States. But like I said, you know, a lot of people, like I said, a lot of you, you know what I'm saying, y'all don't want to be proactive and actually move to the Midwest to where you and move off the shorelines, because you got all the best cities. You know what I'm saying? They live on the shorelines. You got Houston, you know what I'm saying? You got, you know, Florida, you know, Miami, you got New York, you got everything in, you know, in California and Las Vegas and stuff like that. I understand y'all wanna live y'all best life. Move to the Midwest. That's all I'm saying. If you wanna escape the calamity, move to the Midwest. And y'all talking about I'm not, you know, giving people no resources about what to do next. So as far as like, you got to relocate, you know what I'm saying? That's what you got to do. Relocate, move to the Midwest. If you really care about your family, right? You really care about your children. You really believe what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Galvanize your resources and your finances and move your ass to the Midwest. Simple as that. So stop asking me what we supposed to be doing, because the system is going to fall anyway. But like I said, if you have an emotional connection to the world, you're going to fall when the system falls.
Every continent has extensive cavernous networks, like Son Doong Cave in Vietnam, with its jungles, rivers, and space to fit a 40-story skyscraper. And there's Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, USA, which is even longer than the 400 miles of it which have so far been explored. Who's to say these spectacular naturally occurring spaces are not found at deeper depths? According to laws of physics, empty spaces are unnatural in nature. So caves have their own ecosystems and water bodies, plant life, animal life. If they extend deep into the earth, life will still fill it. Even the most unhospitable depths of the ocean have life forms and creatures that have a...
So like I said, man, I do want to do like some type of retreat in the future, telling, to where everybody can, go to Mammoth Cave, Kentucky, even if it's just something to visit or whatever. Because, the great majority of these interdimensional civilizations, to where you can get to them, they turn it into a historical landmark to where you can't get to it. Because they got a lot of like fake rocks plastered all over these mountains and stuff to where they hide these gateways. This is a video of a guy. He used to be a military commander, and he was said that the military met with these interdimensional beings, met with these Anunnaki. But the video, the video is kind of, loud in the background. So you gotta, hold it up to your ear or turn your TV up to understand what he's saying.
Greeted the Anunnaki in 54 at Mora, which is now Edwards Air Force. There was an archbishop from Los Angeles by the name of Mike McIntyre. McIntyre had been invited to be present when they landed to meet them, because I thought somebody ought to be representing the church here. And they brought on McIntyre over from LA. We're all there. And they were there for 2 days. And these guys scared the shit out of everybody with their technology.
You already said they scared the shit out of them with their technology. I'm gonna keep going.
I scared the shit out of everybody with their technology. And they talked openly. The two hovered over the runway for 2 days. Just never landed. I mean, no legs or nothing. They just hovered over the damn runway. It's all on film. But the other guys come out and landed right in front of the hangar and got out and went over. Took hands or whatever. I don't know what the hell they did. McIntyre was present because I had invited him. Well, after it was all over with, after the second day, you guys get back in the ship and off they go. Our intelligence people got a hold of McIntyre and said, Archbishop, you gotta understand. You can't talk about anything you've seen. Oh, I understand. Archbishop, this is...
He said that they can't talk about anything that they've seen. That's what he's basically saying.
Archbishop, you gotta understand. You can't talk about anything you've seen. Oh, I understand. Archbishop, this is beyond top secret. You can't say a word about what we just experienced.
Right? So that tells you, what I'm saying, there's many different, that's connected to all the mythological stories that's connected to certain concepts of religion. It tells you that there's interdimensional beings inside the planet. Right? So now we're going to get into this publication right here called Shambhala and Agartha. Now, there was a book that was written by Maurice Dorel, right? He is basically the founder of the Brotherhood of the White Temple, and he was basically talking about his connection with the Theosophical Society and how there's interdimensional beings inside the planet, right? So like I said, there's many different ways you can look at it. You know what I'm saying? I can break it down from science to let you know that the earth is hollow and that it has its own ecosystem. So if it has its own ecosystem, there's species that live inside the planet, right? I can break it down from, many different type of ways, because like I said, if you get rid of the mythology that the earth is flat and you say it's not hollow, that gets rid of 1/3 of, all of creation when you're talking about humanity. Because of the great majority of these beings that live in Hollow Earth, they are the progenitors of civilization. When you're talking about some of the Anunnaki that came down, and then some of them went back to Planet Risk and went back to the 19th galaxy, while some went inside the caverns of these of planet Earth, basically. So it's showing you right here an illustration of the black sun, right? So when you're talking about those beings, what I was telling you about, it says that the center of the earth is a special base controlled by benevolent beings like the guy we're talking about, who are the Danakil, who is home planet Risk, which is located in the 19th galaxy called Ilihun. Because now when you go to the Holy Quran, Ilihun's inside the Holy Quran 19 times. 19 is conducive to the 19th galaxy. Now it says that the Danakil are the hybrids of the Riskians who made their residence within Shambhala, right? Shambhala, when you break down the etymology, means the scent of Allah, right? It says some of the members of the Danakil tribe stayed in Shambhala and others went off to set up tribes in the caverns near the surface. Malevolent or negative beings are allowed to go into the cities. However, they live in the caverns. Now, there's not a lot of war inside the planet, you know what I'm saying? Because everything is based on a concept of balance. You got some beings, you know what I'm saying? You got the detrimental robotoids. They have their own civilizations within Hollow Earth. Then you got the Terror, they have their own civilizations. Then you got the Danakil, who are a branch of the Anunnaki. Then you got the Draconians. You got many different extraterrestrial species, but they're able to have this concept of peace within Hollow Earth. You know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of war that takes place inside the planet because they have a mutual understanding about what's taking place, because they also have a intergalactic federation, which is their form of the United Nations that takes place in inside these interdimensional gateways, right? So with that being said, like I said, this is Hollow Earth. These are, you got the cave systems all around the planet to escape calamity. You know what I'm saying? And to have some type of self-preservation, you also can move to the Midwest. Like I said, move off the shorelines. You live in New York, you live in New York or whatever. You live in Florida. Move off the coastlines and move in the Midwest, because like I said, they only gonna, when shit really hit the fans, they only gonna give y'all about 30 days to evacuate, which is not a lot of time. So with all that being said, get this video out there, get out the edification, because it's imperative that people, watch this video to understand what's going on. You have a fifth dimensional civilization inside the planet merging in with the three-dimensional world, because it's all being activated by the black sun. And you have these other suns that's coming from different star systems. When you're talking about the 19th galaxy, when you're talking about the blue star Kachina and the red star Kachina, there's a movie that you got to watch called Greenland, because it tells you that there is a supernova that takes place, because a red sun is basically an old sun. It's an old star. And when it basically explodes, that's a form of a spontaneous combustion. And that spontaneous combustion, meaning that when that sun explodes, you're going to have comet showers all over the planet. And that's what took place in the movie Greenland. And the only people who had the resources and the knowledge to go inside these interdimensional caverns to escape the calamity were the Freemasons. You got to watch the movie called Greenland. So with all that being said, thanks for watching this video. Get this video out there. End of transmission.